Dude, that's crazy. You're literally saying that the reason that you're literally saying the reason that we disagree politically speaking is because your set of political beliefs is conducive towards less human flourishment.
Life is not meant to be easy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Ooh, I support what I do because I'm evil and I want less human flourishment. What's up? Do you support Trump?
Hey, yes, I do.
Okay, how old are you?
33.
Okay, and why do you support in my mind, the worst president of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he represents a conservative, which is the both intellectually, psychologically, and morally superior position.
What conservative values does he represent?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure in psychology you're familiar with kind of the idea of internal versus external locus of control.
No, I'm actually not familiar with that idea.
Yeah, so happy to explain it. So internal locus of control kind of aligns with the values and ideas of like meritocracy. So I have personal agency in what happens to me in the world. I'm in control of my outcomes. And personally, I have a vested interest in my own success. The flip side of that, we would call an external locus control, which kind of relates to I don't have control over my circumstances. I can be a victim of my circumstances, and or circumstances in my life I do not have agency because other people have power over what happens to me more than what I have over what happens to myself. So I think that not only is this an inferior psychological position to live by because it leads to, essentially lower quality of life and higher amounts of mental illness and just rates of depression, anxiety, etc.
Okay, so I think there is like many circumstances where, yeah, it is true individuals will have no control over their life. Like think victims of like ethnic cleansing, genocide, kidnapping, murder, wartime, etc. But for the most part, maybe what we see to be true more of the time in American society, it's not going to be so black or white. It's not either that you have total control over your circumstances or no control at all. Yeah. In fact, a really good analogy I would give you to demonstrate this point is let's take your psychological description of your worldview here and let's apply it to an analogy. You versus me. We are trying to run a marathon and you want to win, you want to finish before me, and I want to win, I want to finish before you. Now imagine that you got to run this marathon with running shoes on dirt, and I had to run this marathon barefoot in oil. Obviously, I'm still going to have some self-control over myself and my life and my ability to run that marathon. I'm still going to be moving my legs and picking up my feet. But at the end of the day, although I have that level of agency, I'm going to be held back more than you comparatively because you have circumstances in which better enable you to actualize that agency to achieve your goals by having running shoes and running on dirt compared to being barefoot and something like oil. Right? And I feel like this is a fair description of the reality that we live in. There are systems in which would systemically limit and or prevent the opportunity of one person or one group of people compared to another person or another group of people. And that is going to be a fact.
Yeah, I get that. I think you need to have a healthy balance of, if you're trying to control everything in your life, then you might be a control freak, right? So when we're talking about personal agency, it's important to have agency and say that no matter the circumstances, I have the ability to overcome the circumstances that I've been given, even if I've been dealt a shorthand. So I know you can kind of go down the route of like affirmative action. But
the goal here is to try to ensure that is the smallest amount of people as possible, or no people at all, are dealt that shorthand.
Right. But what I'm saying is that having an internal,
by supporting somebody like Trump, you are only ensuring that more people are dealt that shorthand by taking away healthcare from 10 million low-income Americans, by taking away food stamps from 3 million low-income Americans, by reducing the purchasing power of the average American.
Yeah.
Like, these are all things in which will ensure more shorthands. And obviously, can we agree that we don't want those more shorthands?
So I'm talking about internal locus of control as.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to engage in my point. You're just going to repeat what you already said.
No, I'm saying it's like the law of gravity, right? Like you jump off a building, you're going to get crushed by when you hit the ground. And having an internal locus of control is just proven scientifically and psychologically to lead to better outcomes in life in general. And so it's having an internal versus external locus of control regardless.
I think that now, like, you're just like freaking out and saying words because now you've realized that at the end of the day, right, you have to admit that being dealt a shorthand, quote unquote, can limit the amount of opportunity that you have to actualize that quote unquote self-control of the locus over your life and whatnot. And that the goal of like American politics is to prevent that shorthand from being dealt to as many as possible and make sure that the hand that is being dealt to everyone equally and fairly is as big as possible.
It shouldn't limit your agency, though, because agency is not about circumstances you've been given. It's about your ability to respond to the circumstances that you've been given.
Right, but obviously, varying circumstance will impede upon your ability to respond and make it harder for you to actualize your agency in the world around you. If I'm born into a family with $1 billion, I'm going to be significantly better able to self-actualize an agency of wanting to be an entrepreneur, or CEO, or business owner compared to somebody that's born into a family with nothing. So it's all about the barriers to the actualization of your agency over your material conditions and how different systemic barriers in America or in the world can prevent you from said actualization or make it harder. And the goal is to make it easier for everyone.
Okay, so I'm talking about, and I forgot the name of the book, but I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's a book written by a Jew who lived through the Holocaust, right? He wrote a book about how obviously he was dealt a really crappy hand, but if he just would have surrendered to the circumstances he was given, he literally would not have survived. And he wrote the book about how no matter how crappy the situation was being put in a concentration camp, his ability to have agency and control what he could control in the circumstances that he was given is literally what fueled him to be able to survive the concentration camps and to actually like live a successful life and write a book about it, right? So, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I saw a live where you were confronted and this person was calling you out essentially for the Charlie Kirk unaliving event, saying that because you're white, that you personally can't understand what it's like to live in somebody's shoes who's celebrating an event like that happening. And I thought that was really unfair of them to attack you in this way, because morally, you support the position that it doesn't matter who it is or what happens, that nobody deserves to be unalived in front of their friends and family.
Okay.
And so
point number one, I think that the topic of conversation that was more so, and no, this is of course something I spoke about yesterday in my life. The main point was like feeling a sense of relief, not that like he died or more so like how he died, but rather because we had an actor espousing bigotry to no longer espousing bigotry. And I mean, I think it's a fair point to say that, you know, if you're not directly impacted by the bigotry, you're going to have a harder time understanding, feeling relief that bigotry doesn't exist anymore than if you were to feel directly impacted by the bigotry. That's pretty self-evident. And like, obviously this is true. Like if you were born into a family with billions of dollars and you grew up and you stay in a family with billions of dollars all your life, it's going to be significantly more difficult for you to understand what it is like to live in poverty compared to somebody that lives in poverty. And why? Well, this is just another description of like classism and how it could impact you and change your perceptions of the world around you and make it harder for you to understand certain facts of different material conditions, given different treatment under different perceptions or receptions more so of classism. I mean, I think that's clear. But you're just telling me that this all just wraps into a larger point of like my response to Charlie Kirk. Well, I'm here to debate why you support Trump. Are you going to give an argument?
So what I'm saying is I support the psychological
Okay, so now you're just
and
repeating what you already said, but I thought I already debunked this by bringing up the fact that like individuals can have a more difficult time like self-actualizing what they want to do and why, given their material conditions, and the goal would be to make the material conditions better. What is a fallacy?
It's a logical fallacy.
Define logical fallacy.
If you let me finish.
Do it. So define logical fallacy.
It's a fallacy to believe that somebody that has started further ahead with different circumstances necessarily has it easier.
It's not a fallacy; it's reality, my friend.
Think about people that
it's not a fallacy. It is.
Are
1 second. It's not a fallacy. It's reality. Like, listen, dude. So the one thing that is applied to me throughout my life and having it easier or harder would be like income and access to money. Okay? Right? There was points in my youth where I had nothing, and right now I'm doing good for my age. Right? Those are facts. And I will absolutely tell you that I have it easier today than I did when I had nothing. And that should be intuitively common sense, meaning that it's not fallacious to assume, given that your material conditions are better and access to more resources, you will have it easier. It's not fallacious, but it's rather reality. Then additionally, if access to more resources or better material conditions don't make it so you have it easier, then why does everybody want more resources in better material conditions? The fact that we as humans are self-incentivized to yearn more resources and better material conditions on its own proves it to be self-evident that more resources and better material conditions make it easier. We want those things because they make it easier. Or do you want more money? Do you want more wealth? Do you want better material conditions?
If you hold the worldview that I have, a Christian worldview, that those things are not what bring fulfillment. Those things are not what bring happiness. Those things are not what ultimately bring a sense of purpose and belonging in this world.
Wait. Taking
it's separate from material possessions.
Taking a car to work compared to a bike will make it easier. This doesn't mean that owning a car is going to make you feel personally fulfilled.
Is it possible that when you start with difficult circumstances, you're actually better?
Don't pivot. I respond to that last point. You said that, these things are not going to make you fulfilled or give you a life purpose. Okay. Well, they still make things easier, right? So it is the case that like owning a car compared to not owning a car, maybe owning a bike will make things easier. Does this mean that owning a car will give your life purpose?
Adversity builds character. Character is what builds to fulfillment.
You're not going to respond to that last point.
My question for you is...
I don't want a question from you. I want you to respond to all the points that I've made.
Which one?
Yeah.
I'll answer one, and then I want to follow up with one more question.
Yeah, for sure. I want you to respond to the fact that access to better material conditions or more resources will literally make things easier, given the fact that that's why we want them, and that's self-implied and self-evident. Respond to that point.
Making things easier does not equate to a better life.
Okay, so now you're actually conceding that it doesn't indeed make things easier. So earlier you said it doesn't make things easier. Do you concede that point?
How do you define easier?
So now we're going to get down to easier, more desirable, less conflicting set of desires, better off well-being as a whole.
Okay, so when you have more difficult circumstances, that is an opportunity for you to build character.
And you're not responding to the goddamn point.
So there's people that are born
I don't want you to say anything new. I want you to respond to the point that I made. Having better material conditions or having access to more resources does indeed make things easier, and this is self-proven in the fact that we yearn better material conditions and we yearn more resources because they make things easier. Easier being defined and or cashed out in a sense of being conducive towards a better off well-being.
We have different definitions of easier because I don't agree with the premise of how you're defining easier.
Okay, well then just apply your definition of easy, then give me your definition. I mean, obviously, if you're going to have things easier, like, what is your definition?
So my definition of easier, we're presupposing behind the word easier that life is supposed to be easy.
Oh God, don't give me the fucking philosophy. I just want a definition.
So what I'm saying is that
it's also
the purpose
not
of life
it's
is
also
not to
that
be easier.
it's also not that like life has a prescriptive meaning of being easy. It's that life should be easy because when
But
life
that's my worldview versus your worldview, and that's why we differ on our political stance.
Wait, so if
Because
you're
I don't-
inevitably telling me that your worldview is not conducive towards the conclusion that life should be easier and that human flourishment should be like more present, then is it just the case that you support the political stances that you do because you think they'll make life harder and reduce human flourishment?
No, I believe in a stance that sets people up for the maximum character development in becoming who they were meant to be.
Dude, that's crazy. You're literally saying that the reason that you're literally saying the reason that we disagree politically speaking is because your set of political beliefs is conducive towards less human flourishment.
Life is not meant to be easy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Ooh, I support what I do because I'm evil and I want less human flourishment.
No, life is meant for us to develop character. That is the purpose of life. It's to develop character.
Oh my God, yes. More human suffering, less
it's
human
to grow.
flourishment.
The purpose of life is to grow in virtue.
Okay,
it's
well,
to grow in the virtues of
I
personal
support
agency, of responsibility. It's to grow in courage. The purpose of life is not to be easy. And this is the whole problem with the presupposition behind the leftist worldview.
Oh, don't say
they view.
So what your argument is that the liberal, the progressive, the leftist worldview is conducive towards more human flourishment and less human suffering, and that's
humanist.
an issue.
It's humanist. We're presupposing that humanism is the ultimate virtue in society.
It's actually that's false. I'll just tell you what it's presupposing. There's two presuppositions. It's that flourishment is good and suffering is bad. those are the two presuppositions under the view. It's that flourishment is good and wait, do you agree that suffering is bad?
When you have an eternal perspective, suffering is temporary.
But is suffering bad?
So I believe that we will flourish in eternity.
Is suffering bad?
Suffering is when you have a temporary perspective, you think of suffering.
I just want a yes or a no. Is suffering bad?
You did calculus, right? You know how in math they do the limit as x approaches infinity is equal to what?
I'm not going to accept a question. I will only accept an answer. Is suffering bad?
The limit as x approaches 0, which is suffering, is 0. As x approaches infinity, the limit is 0.
Words.
So suffering
Dude,
converges to 0.
This guy hit the bong before he joined.
If you put suffering on the x-axis or on the y-axis, and you put time on the x-axis,
I just want to know if suffering is bad.
As the limit approaches infinity is 0.
When you
have an eternal perspective,
dude. Yes or no? Is suffering bad?
When you have an eternal perspective, suffering is 0. If you believe that you're living for a temporal,
I'm really trying to like claw at what you're saying here to try to find an answer. When you say suffering is 0, are you saying that suffering is meaningless?
Exactly. In the span of eternity, yes, suffering is meaningless. So that's why we don't live for the temporal; we live for the eternal.
So ultimately speaking, the suffering caused by slavery and the Holocaust was meaningless.
In the eternal perspective, yes.
Dude, get the fuck off my live. Get the hell. DR, thank you for the fireworks. That dude has fucking walked himself into moral nihilism. Actually, not even just moral nihilism. That guy has walked himself into all-encompassing nihilism. And he's saying that because he is an all-encompassing nihilist that doesn't think anything ever matters, that if you are not an all-encompassing nihilist that doesn't think that anything ever matters, then you are wrong and a bad person and you are the problem.